Okay. So, I don't know, I guess I'm live. I guess I'll wait for some people to get in here. I should check. That looks good. Okay, so I apologize to anyone who's watching this on replay because I'm a pretty awkward person if I don't have anyone to talk to. Okay, one person's in here. We're good, so I can actually talk. Well, hello. This stream is so exciting. Basically what's going on is I haven't touched my Goodreads in about 2 months due to anxiety, and getting on here and reading books at all just wasn't great. So I'm gonna do like a catch-up, adding every book that I can remember that I've read in the past few months, even though there haven't been many, and just like organize my Goodreads a bit and just see how I'm feeling about stuff. So yeah, maybe I should add a bio as well. So hi, Northside. I don't recognize that name. I'm sorry. Oh, geez. But hello, thank you for stopping in. So yeah, let's go to my bookshelves and I guess start seeing what's up. I haven't really wanted to touch anything on my Goodreads, like even adding anything to my TBR in the past few months. So a lot of the books that I want to read that are coming out soon are not on here. So that's another thing I want to do, is I want to go through the new releases page and add in things that I wasn't adding because I wanted to wait to do it on here. Alright, so fun stuff. Let me know how the vocal sounds and how everything looks and sounds, because I have a new setup and hopefully it's good. Hello, Amber. How are you doing? So I guess first things first is going to my currently reading and taking all of these books off, except for I guess Equal Rights, because I'm not currently reading this book. I'm going to stick it back on my to-read pile. An Extraordinary Union is good, but when the time that I started reading it just wasn't a good time to read it. It's about the Civil War and about a black woman during the Civil War. So it's very emotionally difficult to read. And reading it, even though I was enjoying it, it made me feel very upset. So I just needed to take a step back and not read it. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying to check if everything looks good. Looks like everything looks good. So I'm gonna just add that back to my to-read pile. This one I was reading physically. This one I was listening to. This one I was reading physically. It got returned to the library, and I just didn't find it very interesting. Like, the plot was not my favorite. I really liked Kelly Bowen's other series that I've read by her, the, oh gosh, what was it called? this one, Duke of My Heart. These ones, yes. So I absolutely loved Between the Devil and the Duke. And so I was really hoping that I'd like this book as well, but I'm just not feeling it. And maybe I'll get back to it at some point, but it's not on audio, I don't believe, or if it is on audio, it's not available through my library. So that makes it, yeah, it's not available on audio at all. So the chances of me finishing it anytime soon, not high, since I haven't picked it up since like December, January, I think it was January. So let's just put that back on my to-read shelf. And Handbook for Dragon Slayers is another physical book. I was enjoying this one. I was reading it with Kara from Wild Book Garden, and it was enjoyable and fun, and I liked the characters and stuff. I didn't even get into like the magical adventure part, but I enjoyed, she's like a scholar and it's like medieval, and it actually sounds like something I'm in the mood for right now. So maybe I'm gonna move it back to my TBR, but maybe I'll move it back on at some point. You've been thinking of reading romance, but not sure where to start. Let's do that right now, actually. Where to start with romance, in Giselle's opinion. Do you, before we go digging into that, do you know if you have a preference of like historical or paranormal or fantasy, or like what do you read that's not romance? Like contemporary, like what do you read that isn't romance? And then I'll recommend you something based on that. Oh, I'm sorry I'm catching you right before you have to go and leave for work, Libby. But yes, please do stay and chat until you have to leave. I know this is a really awkward time to stream. I wanted to stream last night, but I was having problems with, Christopher was gone at work. Not at work. He was gone to go see the movie Star Wars Solo, and I didn't want to go. And then I was like, hey, I'm gonna stream. And I couldn't figure out how to turn the webcam on. And I was like, maybe I should just stream without the webcam, but I don't like streaming without webcam because I feel like it just makes it more personable. So I wasn't able to stream last night because of that. And then he got home and it was like, oh yeah, I turned the webcam off. I didn't know you wanted to stream last night. And I was like, I was very sad. So that was last night. I tried to stream, but I couldn't. So we're streaming now instead. And then you're interested in historical and paranormal. Okay. Well, in that case, let's see. If you want like things that have romance in them, a lot of my favorite books do, but if you're talking about like straight, like it's more about the romance than it is about, like the romance is the central plot, whereas like Howl's Moving Castle, there are other things going on, but it is also a romance. Same thing with like the Goose Girl, just fantasy as well. You'll see a lot of duplicates on this shelf because before Goodreads gave you the option to mark books as rereads, that was a thing. And the Enchanted Forest Chronicles, book 2 has a romance in it, and so does book 4. And Elle Enchanted's technically a romance, but if we're gonna go talk about like straight romance books that I really, really love and recommend, let's stick this on 100. And I have a bit of a runny nose. I had a runny nose last night as well, so either way you would have gotten a runny nose for me. But oh, Rose Daughter, it's not just straight romance. I mean, it is, because it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and Beauty and the Beast is a romance story, but Rose Daughter's really good. Anyway, romance. I have some in mind, I just haven't seen them yet. Sorry. So Between the Devil and the Duke is book 3 in that series by Kelly Bowen I was just talking about. I absolutely loved this book, but I do think you will get more out of it if you read the other books first. And I didn't love the other books. I liked the other books and I thought they were good, but this book was wonderful in my opinion. Ugh, I just loved it. Yeah. So you can see my little review. Anyway, my brain is not working super well right now. I mean, I've been up for a couple hours, but my brain just still hasn't turned on. That one was really good, but reading the other books first, I think, like, builds the world better. Let me see. A Change of Heart is not historical or paranormal. It's a contemporary... It's really weird, and it's very dark, and it's about this girl who had a heart transplant, and she got this other guy, he got this guy's, like, wife's heart, and then she starts, like, basically he's, like, totally, like, drunk all the time, like, in a really, really bad place, like, mentally, and she comes to him and she's like, I got your wife's heart, and I'm hearing her talk to me, and we need to go, like, take down this, like, black market organ chain that's going on where they're killing people. She's like, we need to go take them down. And it was really interesting. It's so hard to describe this book because it makes it sound absolutely nuts, but it's really good, and I was so emotionally devastated while reading it. It was a really hard book to read, but it was really good. Okay, sorry, I keep getting distracted by books that are not exactly what you want. Soulless. Soulless by Gil Carriger is book 1 in the Parasol Protector series, as you can see. It's a steampunk, so it's set in, like, late 1800s, and she's soulless, and so when she touches somebody who's, like, oh, so you love Parasol Protector, right? Well, for anyone who's, like, watching this on replay, whenever she touches somebody who is a paranormal creature, like a vampire or werewolf, she'll, like, temporarily make them so they're not that, and she, like, brings them back from that change that they've had, and it's so funny and great. The first book is definitely the most romancy of, like, a typical romance, but the other ones still have a bit of romance in them. It's just not as, like, typical romance. But it's really great. I've only read the first 3, though. I haven't continued on from there yet. But I really like them. Oh, it's so good. Soulless is really good. I loved it. I don't rate books 5 stars on a first read very often. Like, maybe about 5 in a year. And this is one that I read in 2014, and I read it, and I was like, I love that. That was the perfect book for me at the perfect time. It's so good, and yeah, it's amazing. Oh, 50 Shades of Shock. I love Michael. Oh, it's so good. I actually really want to reread the first book. I recommend them. Let's see, more romance. The Bollywood Bride, also by Sonali Dev, is one that I read earlier this year. Okay, so A Change of Heart is book 3 in that series. So book 1 I feel like is less related to book 2 and book 3. And book 4, I didn't super care for. 2, though, is both better and worse to read before book 3, because in book 2, you end up seeing that husband and wife, the one who ends up dying and gets her heart replaced or whatever, the one who ends up dying and donates her heart because she's an organ donator on her card or whatever. And so it was devastating to read this book. Like, it crushed me because I knew it was going to happen. And now I just spoiled it for you. But, like, this whole series, I already kind of spoiled it when I talked about the plot of book 3. But this whole series is just incredible. And the way Sonali Dev writes characters is just incredible. But for me, they're all about the journey and not the destination. Because with romance, you know what the destination is always. And so it's really the journey, and they're, like, emotionally devastating, but beautiful. Hi, Miriam. I was hoping you'd be able to pop in since, you know, it's not, like, really, really late where you are right now. That's always my problem when I stream at night, is Miriam's always asleep. So, I was hoping that you'd be able to catch part of the stream at least. How have you been? Right now I'm currently going through books that I would recommend to people with where to start with romance. Okay, so I guess now we're getting into my 4-star books, ones I still really enjoyed. I think Julia Quinn is a great place to start with romance. Historical romance, she's just, she's so fun. I don't love all of her books. I don't love a lot of her books, but in general I do, and they make me feel really warm and happy. But I would start with the Smythe Smith Quartet. They were just really cute, and the first one is like friends to lovers, and I really like that plot, and it was adorable. I actually really want to reread it, but I absolutely hated the second book, but then I liked the other ones. I think the guy in this one is a bit of a dick as well, but this one and this one are really, really cute. And the thing that I also really enjoy about Julia Quinn's books is all of her books are kind of like tied in together, even the ones that aren't part of the series or whatever. So reading this and then reading like the Bridgerton books or vice versa, there's like a lot of like lap over characters, which is really cool. And there's also a book that's a fairy tale retelling by Eloisa James that takes place during this book right here. Even though they're 2 different authors, she like wrote a book with these characters in it, and it was great. So, anyway, I liked this series a lot. Oh, studying for your finals. Oh no. Study. I'm sorry I'm making you procrastinate. My first book by Julia Quinn was Just Like Heaven, and that's where I would recommend to start. Just because I didn't love... Oh, bye, Libby. Thanks for stopping in. Definitely read Soulless. Just Like Heaven. Oh, yeah. First book in the Bridgerton series I don't really care for. Personally. I just thought it was very boring. So I would recommend starting with this and then moving on to the Bridgertons if you're so inclined. I just really love her writing, and that's the biggest thing for her with me. So this one is another one. I'm sorry, I'm so bad about spoiling those books. The only person that I talk to about books usually is my husband, and he doesn't care if I spoil him on these books because he's never going to read them. So I'm really, really sorry that I spoiled all those things about the Sonali Dev books, but they're so good. Please read them. But I guess you should read them in order. I really liked book 1. They're all contemporary. Really liked book 1, loved book 2, loved book 3, and was like okay with book 4. Like, it was fine. You did your goals for today. Well, that's good. Hitting goals is always really important, but you should always exceed your, like, not always. I always like to, like, set, like, low goals so I can exceed my expectations. But I'm glad you're stopping in instead, and I'm glad you hit all your goals and that everything's going well. Okay, Courtney Milan is another one. I really like Courtney Milan a lot. She's a bit more steamy than, like, Julia Quinn. And this is another one with, like, the Brothers Sinister series that I am so, like, torn about, as you can, like, see from my ratings. I actually started with book 3, and I really, really liked it a lot. The female in it is a botanist, and she's so smart and so awesome. And I really liked the guy in it. And then I went back and read book 1, and I didn't like book 1. I really didn't care for book 1. There was, like, a scene where he, like, essentially threatened to rape her, and she's, like, okay with it. And she's, I don't know. The fact that he, like, made that threat, even if he was never going to follow through on it, really creeped me out. So I really had an issue with that, and that really brought down my rating for the book, even though I liked the rest of the book. Besides that one scene where I was just like, okay, well, now I can't like this character anymore because he's a skeevy scumbag. But I really liked the prequel on this one. But book 2 I really liked. I believe it's like a fat heroine as well, which is, like, fun to see. But she's insanely, like, crazy with how she dresses, and she's, like, really smart and awesome, and I really enjoyed that. But there's a scene that happens in this one that made me sad about this one, because the guy from this one, there's a scene between the guy and the girl in this one where he treats her really badly. And so I do recommend reading book 3 first, simply for the fact that you probably won't enjoy it as much if you read this one first. But number 4 was probably my favorite of the series. I don't know, they're all pretty closely tied, 2, 3, and 4. But number 4 is, like, all suffragette, and there's an interracial couple. That's not the main couple, but there's an interracial couple. I think with an Indian man and a white female, and that was really cute. I really liked that a lot, but then I liked the main couple as well. That one was really good. And then the 4.5 was also good, another interracial couple. This time with the female being a black heroine. And so this lady, like, runs a newspaper, and then the lady in this one is a astrologist. So most of her heroines, or heroes, but a lot of them are in this, like, the STEM field. So it's also really interesting if you want, like, extra stuff. And the female in this one is really cool as well. You need to read them, Miriam. Not that I can be telling you what to read, since I never read what you tell me to read, but you should definitely try some historical romance. So this series is fantastic. But book 1 I did not care for, so I would skip book 1 and read all the others, and if you feel like reading book 1, go back to it. The Turner series, I've only read the main books and the 0.5. I don't recommend the 1.5. It's stupid and pointless. And I didn't really care for book 1 either. It was just really boring. Book 2 was really good, and I loved book 3. Book 3 is probably one of my favorite ever, but oh, Sarah, I'm sorry you can't stay because you need to go to sleep. Dang it. I thought streaming in the morning would be better for people in different time zones. Guess not. But anyway, thank you for stopping in for a little bit. So book 3, I think you should read these in order, though, because you'll get a lot more out of these two if you read book 1. I just thought book 1 was really, like, bleh. I didn't really care for it. and just completely skip 1.5. It adds nothing and it's so pointless. But book 2 and book 3, when I read book 2, I was like, wow, this is one of my favorite like historical romances ever. You don't suck. Australia is so cool. I always talk about how I want to go there, and my husband's like, no, I don't want to get eaten by all the giant like bugs and creatures they have over there. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. Let's just go. He's like, no. But a lot of my favorite YouTubers are Australian, so I'm used to the time difference. You're in the future. But thank you for stopping in. Oh, with the winky face, you're so evil. I'll tell him that you said that. Yeah, no, I really want to go. He's like, I'll go to New Zealand. I'm like, okay, but then we'll go to Australia after that, okay? Oh, thanks. Someday. Maybe in a few years. How have I been? I've been better. I've had a better few months in the past. But I feel a lot better now than I was back then. So that's kind of the point of this, is that I finally feel prepared to like do stuff again. This one, Unraveled, was freaking amazing though, but you do get more if you start at the beginning, so there's that toss up there. Except for, I just read, I haven't marked it yet, but I just read Once Upon a Marquess for like my book club thing, and I'm so sorry you guys, because this was genuinely one of the most boring, no, not boring, this was just, it wasn't super engaging. It wasn't insanely boring. It was just like mediocrely okay. And I apologize for making you read it. Like, it could have been better. It's probably like a 3-star book for me. The thing is, I just don't like remember it super well. I'm not super engaged with it. And I think I didn't like Ashford very much. Did any of you guys read this one? I'm sorry I made you read it because it just wasn't amazing. Let's see. Sarah McLean is a really good... This series is really good in my opinion. Again, I really hate book 1 and I think you can skip it, The Rules of Scoundrels, but I really loved book 2, book 3, and book 4. So I would really recommend this one. But I hated book 1, and this one is a more of a steamier one as well, so if you've never read like romance before, it's maybe not one I would recommend starting with, but I really love them. Life does get crazy sometimes, and you just kind of have to grin and move on. Grin and bear it and move on. Yeah. Life's not been wonderful the past few months, just like mentally for me, but I feel much better now. Okay, so here's a series that I would definitely recommend. If you like fairy tale retellings, it's really fun. I got my friend Allie to read it, from Allie Brooks, and she really liked book 1 and book 2. She thought they were really interesting and great. They're just really fun retellings. They're not the most like serious books ever, but they're super funny. I absolutely hated book 4 though, probably in my like top 10 least favorite books of all time. I hate it so much. And same thing with its like 0.5, 2 of the worst books ever. Ever. Despise them. They're not at all related, so you can read them in any order. This book I recommend reading after Julia Quinn's Smythe Smith Quartet though, since it happens like the same time book 3 happens. But this is a Rapunzel retelling, and it's really good. But also all of these are excellent. I mean, I haven't read this one yet, but these three, wonderful. And I recommend them. A Cinderella retelling, a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and a Princess and the Pea retelling. But I would never ever recommend anyone ever read The Ugly Duchess because it's a piece of crap. Let's see if I wrote a review for it. Nope, didn't write a review, but it sucks. Let's see. And then a lot of these are books that we've already looked at. Probably the #1 place I recommend anyone to start with historical romance, though, just in general, would probably be the... Ooh, I'm really enjoying Jennifer Ashley lately as well. She writes some real good books. Oh gosh, it has a red cover. What is it called? Slightly Married by Mary Balog. This is probably the #1 place I'd recommend anyone starting with historical romance, simply for the fact that it's super, like, accessible if you've never read historical books at all before. I think it does a nice job of, like, explaining the rules and situations of the time period and making that accessible without it being, like, too overly obnoxious about it. The series is really good. Okay, the book is really good. The series is not great. Book 1 is great. It's like a marriage of convenience where they, like, grow to love each other, and I just thought it was super adorable. And I also really liked book 2, but then I liked book 3 less than that, and then I liked book 4 less than that, and I really didn't care for book 5 at all, and I have yet to get to book 6 because I was just so, like, over it by the time I got to book 6 because they had just, like, plummeted. And I was like, how did they get so not... like... There's, like, a helicopter going over my house right now. Anyway, I don't know. I still need to read this one, and as you can see, it's the most popular book out of the whole series. It has 13,000 ratings, whereas, like, book 1 only has 11,000. So, like, most people have read book 6, and it has really good ratings of 4.2, whereas all the other ones have less than a 4. So apparently book 6 is the most amazing out of all of them. I just got very frustrated by the time I got to there because I really didn't care for book 5. So take that with a grain of salt, but it's like each one follows a different siblings, and there's 6 siblings. Anyway, that would be my #1 place to start, though, but then from there, I wouldn't necessarily recommend continuing on with the series. I just thought book 1 was a really, like, non-abrasive place to start. Also about Jennifer Ashley. I'm not the most educated person when it comes to this, so don't at me, but Ian Mackenzie has some kind of autism or Asperger's. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's never, like, really even said that he does have that. I believe it's a form of some kind of Asperger's, though, because of just the way that he acts. And I did like it. It just wasn't as good as I feel like everyone else said it was, but it does have that, like, rep in there, which was really cool to see. But I think, and I don't know if other people agree with me on this, but I think out of all the other books that I've read, that each of these, like, Mackenzie brothers has some form of, like, autism, though. Just, like, the way that they act. I would say that, like, fairly confidently for someone who's, like, completely not educated at all. Like, not nearly as much as I should be. But I do really enjoy the series out of the ones that I've read, and even the one that I didn't love, I still really liked. I just didn't love it. But I really liked book 2 and book 3. I just didn't love Ian as much as everyone else. But they're still a really good series, and Jennifer Ashley is just an author that I've had pretty high respect from. She is an author that I've never given a book less than 3 stars so far, and I think I've read 4 or 5 books by her, which is pretty impressive by how easily I give 1-star reviews. But I recently also read Death Below Stairs, which is like a murder mystery series. I don't know if it's all murder mysteries, but the first one's a murder mystery. The other ones may just be mysteries, but it was so fun. And there's like a tiny bit of romance, but it's not like a romance series, it's a mystery series primarily. And book 2 is about to come out. I need to add that to my TBR because it was really good. And let's see, this one comes out in July. So really, really soon, right around the corner. And I don't see it on Audible yet, so hopefully they get it. I think Tantor published the audio for the first one, but it was good. I read it earlier this year, and it reminded me of Downton Abbey in that way, where it's like taking place below stairs and stuff like that, like very typical for people to compare it to Downton Abbey. But oh, it was so good. Yeah, I don't see the audio on here either, so it might have been Tantor that made them. But I really liked this one. It doesn't have the highest ratings, unfortunately, but I just thought it was such a fun one. And I've also noticed that Jennifer Ashley really doesn't care for Victoria very much at all, Queen Victoria. She's not a fan, I don't think. But still gonna add it to my TBR and read it very soon. Like, I'm gonna try to get to it as quickly as possible after it comes out. Just the tiniest little smidgen of romance, and I think it's gonna keep on building throughout the series. I still need to read book 1 though. I was supposed to read it in March for March Mystery of Madness, but I didn't. Whoops. Probably because I didn't read any books in March at all. Like I was intending to. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else that like really stands out to me. Jennifer McQuiston. She's another interesting author for me. She's where I started with romance, really. Besides Eloisa James, she's like where I started, and I really enjoyed book 1 of the series, and I liked book 2 a lot. But I haven't always liked her other books quite as much. Like The Second Sons, didn't really love the first one. I thought it happened all in one day. It was super insta-lovey and just like, what? And then book 2 I liked, but it wasn't like amazing. I think this one's about a female swimmer, which is interesting for like the time period. And book 3 I don't remember the storyline of all. And then this one, I really liked book 1, and I really liked book 2. I don't know if I'd still like them as much if I reread them now. This one's about somebody of the aristocracy, and then she falls in love with a doctor. And then this one's about her younger sister. And then this last one, I hated. I hated this book so much. It's, oh my gosh. The guy in this is such a twat. He's awful. Anyway, what I wrote, it was horrifying. I DNF'd it, I think, I don't know, like an hour or 2 in. Let's see. It starts with a guy peeing all over the main female's bushes, and then he says some gross, lewd things to her, and then gets mad at his friend for peeing, on someone else, on his front bushes, so, like 2 minutes later, so he's like a freaking hypocrite. And he's rude, nasty, oh, and I say that he's a hypocrite. And then when he sees the girl again, with no regard to her or her reputation, he follows her into a room, closes the door, and, like, comes on to her when I'm pretty sure she says no, she's not interested, and then I DNF'd it because it was just really creepy, and I didn't want to read it anymore, and he was gross. And then I think the main female, I said she reminded me of Kathy from Northanger Abbey in a not appealing way. I don't remember what I meant by that, because Northanger Abbey is one of my favorite books ever. But I guess maybe that she's just very naive and dumb, but not in a cute way. So I can't really recommend this series anymore, and I definitely need to reread the other ones first. Okay, sorry. My sister just texted me. Okay. Other romancy things. I think that might be it for historical. I do really like the Rokesby series. But I don't think it's for everyone. I really loved book 1. I actually really want to reread it. But book 2, I heard a lot of people say they didn't like, even though I really loved it. I'm looking for another book for not for historical. I'm looking for Slouch Witch by Helen Harper is a paranormal that I recommend. It's not insanely romancy, but it builds as the series builds. The first one isn't super romance though, but it's a really fun series and I enjoyed it a lot. Slouch Witch by Helen Harper, and I'm trying to find it. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I know I read the other 2 and I think I gave them both 4 stars, so I should have come across it by now. East is young adult romance and it's a retelling, and I really want to read that one soon. Reread that one soon. I was supposed to reread it and then I didn't. Whoops. I haven't read that one yet, Miriam. I have it downloaded on my Audible right now, and hopefully I will get to it soon, but I haven't yet. As far as contemporary romance, another contemporary romance that I really enjoyed was Roomies by Christina Lauren. If you like music, you would probably enjoy this one. The plot is it's very ridiculous, but I loved the main character, Holland. I just related to her a lot, and like the struggles that she has with like her self-worth and stuff, it was very reminiscent of how I felt in the past, and I really, really, really liked this one. You've had it for like 6 years or something. Isn't that the truth with all books, though? You just have them forever. Let's see. Anyway, I've been talking about random romance books for a long time now, so maybe I should stop with that. But these are some that I've really enjoyed and would recommend. And there it is. The Lazy Girl's Guide to Magic. Such a fun series. Like, I really like the series a lot. I still need to read the 3.5, which is like a little Christmas novella, but it's super fun. And it definitely made me more interested in reading a lot more paranormal. And actually, she has a new book coming out like any day, or it just came out or something. So I need to get on that and read that one. Let's see. Box of Frogs. Wraith just came out as well, but Box of Frogs is, I think, the one I was thinking of. Oh, where did it go? Gosh dang it. I didn't actually open it. There we go. Okay, so Box of Frogs comes out July 5th. Okay, so any day, meaning a month from now. I don't think I've read this part yet, but I don't really care. I'm just ready to read it because I'm really excited. Because Helen Harper is legit. From what I've read by her so far. I need to read her other books, but from what I've read, I like it a lot. And this one just came out. It seemed like a little less up my alley, but I'm still interested in reading it. It just wasn't like the paranormal that I was in the mood for when I saw that it came out. But it did just come out in February, apparently. And I will get to it at some point. And I should, because it's a standalone. Okay. Alright, enough of this. Let's get back to my currently reading. Into the Wilderness by Sarah Donati. Is that how you say her name? I did enjoy what I read of it, but my library loan expired on it, and it's a really long book, and I just didn't have the mental capacity for it at the time. It's 900 pages, and it's set in a different, like, place and time than I normally read, so it wasn't, like, the easiest thing for me to read. But it was really interesting, so I need to get back to it, let's just say. But and I have a lot of friends who really love it as well, so I guess I'm not alone on enjoying it as much as I was enjoying it. I need to, like, just take it off my currently reading pile, because I haven't picked it up since January. Well, February, I think, actually. So that just leaves me with Equal Rights left, which I also haven't touched in a while, but Terry Pratchett books always take me a long time to get through, but I think part of that is, as well, that I just like them so much that I just take my sweet time with them. Even though there's like 40 in this series to read, there's never going to be any more because he died. So, like, I just, like, take my time. So by the time I finished reading the series, I started reading it in 2016. I basically finished, like, one a year. By the time I finish reading this, I'll be dead. So, I don't know. I really need to, like, pick up my speed on this series, but I really enjoy it. Okay, so now is the time to go back through my different accounts and see what I have borrowed from the library and what I have read and what to, like, look out for. And add to my freaking Goodreads, because I haven't touched it in so long. So let's start with The Prodigal Tongue. Let's see. I don't think I have this on my TBR. The Prodigal Tongue. Oh, I did not spell that right. Whoops. Hopefully it still pops up. Otherwise, yeah, I need a prodigal. I hate that when you, like, hit the wrong thing. There we go. The Prodigal Tongue. So I didn't ever mark this. The love-hate relationship between American and British English. I read that, I think, the beginning of May. I read it on my trip that Chris and I took out of town. And I loved it. It was so good. So 5 stars. And I'm going to mark my date as just May in general. I'm going to do this with all my books that I read when I didn't. Because I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly when I read them, so I'm just going to mark them with the general month that I think I read them in, anything that I missed. And hopefully that's all right. Okay. But I loved this one. It was amazing. And if you've ever been interested in the differences between British and American English, here it is. Here's a book for you, and hopefully you will love it too, because I loved it. The Prodigal Tongue. What's another one I read? Hot and Badgered. I do think I have this. Yeah, I already have it marked as to read. So I have read this. It was one of the most gory books I have ever read. Ever. I was not expecting it. It was ridiculous, but really, really gory. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I should even tell you guys, but I guess be prepared for the kind of book that it is if you're going into it. But I was listening to it right before I left for my trip. I was walking around on Walmart buying things for the trip with my headphones in, listening to this book. Just like hit play as I walked into the store. And like 5 minutes in, it describes this bear shifter is grabbing this guy's head and popping it until it pops like, and squeezing it until it pops like a zit, is how they described it. And I was like, I was in Walmart and I was like, aghast and like jerked back, and I was like, what the heck am I reading? What's going on? Because I was not expecting it at all. Stunned me. So anyway, that's this book, but it was really funny and ridiculous, and it was a lot of fun, and I needed something really fun, so I did like it, but I don't think it was the most amazing book. I don't think it was the most like cohesive book, but it was really enjoyable. Let's see, have I read the Prophecy of Sisters series? No, I haven't. Wait. Ah! Oh my gosh. Please. Do you think I could just not suck for like once? I'm not used to this keyboard, to be fair. This is my first time ever really typing on this keyboard, and it's different. We got a new computer, by the way. So, I haven't read this. It's trashy, but you loved it as a teenager. That sounds about right. I mean, I'll add it to my TBR. We'll see. Can't hurt, right? Bradley says, is Chris going to make a comeback on YouTube? I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but let's just say I think so. I can't make any promises because I'm not Christopher, and I can't say what he's going to do exactly, but he's mentioned that he's interested in doing that at some point in the near future, maybe. But he wants to, and as a spoiler for something, it might not go up for like 2 or 3 or 8 more months, whenever, but it will be up at some point. We did vlog us going to California to visit my parents and to go to Disneyland, so that vlog will be coming in the future as well. So both the vlog channel and Christopher's channel will maybe be getting a comeback in the next few weeks to months. Anyway. Alright, Miriam, if you say so. I mean, I feel like a lot of the things that came out at this time period have that. And that's fine. I think that's what we wanted as teenagers. Yeah, no problem. I don't know. I don't want to like speak for him just in case he like changes his mind, or if he just isn't able to for whatever reason. I don't want to get your hopes up or whatever, but he has mentioned that he wants to. Let's see. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I don't know. But I really was going to say something. I don't remember. Oh well. Hot and Badgered, though. I did read this. I did like it. Not as much as everyone else, apparently. But it was fun. and enjoyable. I read this, let me see. Yeah, I read this at the very beginning of May as well. I actually think I read it, we left for our trip on a Monday. I think I read it between like the 3rd and the 7th. So I'm just going to say that. I might have read it over a shorter or longer period of time, but I think roughly that's about when I read it. Save. Perfect. What's next? What else can I find that I've read? So I DNF'd My Lady Captor. Which is not popping up on here. Oh, no, it is by Hannah Howe. Oh, I didn't realize it was such an old book. Jeez. The audio just came out in March, which is like why I didn't realize it was such an old book. Wow, all these covers are very interesting. This is the cover that I saw. Yeah, it's from Tantor, March 27th is when it came out. They're all awkward. Let's just go with this one, I guess. I really didn't care for this book. It's, I don't know. I don't like reading the synopses of books before I read them usually, because I prefer to just go in and be surprised. That was a bad thing for this one, because I mean, I guess I should have gotten it from the title, but basically she kidnaps him, which is fine. But I also think the idea of them having a relationship, if he's kidnapped and a captive, kind of gives me heebie-jeebies a little bit. But it's fine. I think I could maybe move past that if there weren't ghosts. Random ghosts throwing tantrums in the castle. And I was like, wait, what? This is so stupid. Also, I just thought she was annoying. And I thought he was annoying. And I just didn't care for it. I got a couple hours in. And it could have been better. Could have been a lot better. I mean, I don't know if I hated it, but I just really couldn't get into it and really didn't like it. Tantor sent this for me for review. They just sent me Hot and Badgered as well. So I'm going to try to do actual better reviews of them on my YouTube channel on an actual video. But I'm really sorry, Tantor, but what is this book? I just didn't like it. Even a little bit. And that cover's so awkward. Okay, moving on. Hot and Badgered, they also sent to me, which was very nice of them, and I did like that one. Next book. Dance of Silver and Shadow. A Dance of Silver and Shadow, retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses by Melanie Sellier. Was great. If you like retellings, I'd recommend this book. It was a really good retelling, and I really want to go read all of her other books now. Unfortunately, they're not on audio, which really bums me out. I wish that they were on audio, but I'm still going to have to give them a try. I don't think you need to have read the Four Kingdoms books in order to read the Beyond the Four Kingdoms books, like I read them. I think they are related, and the Four Kingdoms is something that is mentioned a lot in Beyond the Four Kingdoms, but I don't think you need to have read them because I was able to get it just fine. But I really like this book. This is another one that Tantor sent me the audio of, and it was really quite good. Really good retelling. It was very imaginative and very very different and still within like my comfort zone though. It's like fantasy and like very like princesses and stuff like that, obviously, because it's 12 Dancing Princesses, but it's also like feminist and really good like sister relationships and female relationships. There's like not good female relationships as well, but with a cast of 12 main female characters, technically there's only like 2 female main characters, one and then like her sister, but then there's all these other girls as well that are like pretty prominent characters. With that many female characters, it's okay if there's like some not good female character, like female relationships, is to be expected, but there are some really good female relationships as well, which I really liked. Like healthy, like we're friends and support each other, and that's what this whole book is that they're all these females supporting each other. Even if they don't like each other that much, they're still like supporting each other and helping each other, which I really appreciated. Anyway, basically this one is that they're basically forced into a mysterious and secret tournament. And they have to like compete in these magical tournaments every few nights. And then whoever the winner is has to marry this like evil prince who, sort of spoilers, is going to be the Beast in Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is the next book in the series. I haven't read that one yet, but I'm dying to get my hands on it. I know it exists on audio, but it hasn't come out on Hoopla yet, and I'm really hoping Hoopla gets it because it's really good. Otherwise, I might just ask Tantor to send it to me because really good. Anyway, I recommend a lot. Like, a lot. It was so fun. I definitely need to go back and read her other series, though. They're just not on audio, and it makes me really sad. I hope somebody picks up the audio for these, though, because they're quite excellent. Sleeping Beauty, Frog Prince, Rumpelstiltskin, Snow White, Little Red Riding Hood, Princess and the Pea. So she's also doing some more imaginative ones, like the Frog Prince and Rumpelstiltskin and Princess and the Pea, like, and I appreciate that as well. I can't wait to read these. I'm excited. I just found a new author that I'm really enjoying. So I really liked that one. I just finished that one last night, actually. No, not last night. 2 nights ago. So the 24th is when I finished it. I don't know, the 23rd, sorry. But I don't know when I started it. I think I started it on like the 4th? It's just taking me a little while to read books, you guys. But I did really like it a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, and we'll add some more books that I've read recently. And I'm also gonna get myself some more water. Okay, I'm back. Wow, there are 14 people in here. I don't know why, but thank you for stopping in. I don't think this is the most, like, interesting stream ever, but thanks for being here. Okay. Excellent. Anyone who missed, great book. Dance of Silver and Shadow. Highly recommend. Let's see if I can find what other books I have read recently. You're biased. You're so cute. Well, thanks. Let's see. What else? Did I ever mark that I reread Artemis Fowl? Oh my gosh, if I could spell, that would be helpful. Okay, let's see. Artemis Fowl. I don't think I ever did mark it as that I read it. I think I read it in the very beginning of March. Reread it at the very beginning of March. Hey, I read it in March a few years ago too. March before I wasn't feeling very good. But I reread Artemis Fowl and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna leave my rating at 5 stars. I mean, it's Artemis Fowl, so how can you not? Which, speaking of, I can actually mark this as currently reading, is I'm currently reading book 2. I was supposed to have read all of them by now, but whoops. I didn't. And I talked to Kara about it and she doesn't hate me, thankfully. So that's good. Currently reading. Date started today. I just started it today. Oh my gosh. No, not the date started for this one. Can I just erase this? Whoops. Okay. Date started for this one is today. There we go. That's what I wanted. So there's Artemis Fowl: The Arctic Incident. I'm currently reading that. I'm also currently reading my hold accidentally expired on this one. Gosh dang it. So I'm gonna have to recheck it out from the library. I literally had 2 hours left of the book, but it was Aru Shah. Oh my gosh. Aru Shah and the End of Time. Oh, it's going to be a series. That's good. Okay, so I'm currently reading this one. And let's go mark the day that I started currently reading it. Because I started reading it, I think, yesterday. Or the day before. Actually, I think I started it on the 23rd. So let's stick that in there. But it's going to be a bit longer. I put it on hold at the library, so hopefully I get it within the next week or two. It's so frustrating when your hold expires. I mean, when your loan expires, though. Oh, I wanted to change this from the Kindle edition to hardcover. I mean, I'm listening to the audio, but for some reason I just like it saying hardcover more than Kindle. Apparently there's going to be 4 of them. That's cool. I'm excited about that. And the Song of Death. That sounds interesting. The thing is with this is It's from the Rick Riordan Presents, almost like James Patterson Presents, which, don't even get me started on James Patterson. Anyway, Rick Riordan Presents, and that being said, it's very similar to Percy Jackson in my opinion, but it's really fun. And I mean, I'm not the hugest Percy Jackson fan anymore. I just think it was like overdone. People overdid it. I mean, and I read the series like, I don't know, 8 years ago, I think is when I read them. 9 years ago. And I liked them. I just didn't think they were the most amazing ever. And everyone else seems to think that. I like this a lot more than Percy Jackson out of my memory, though. Just that I think Aru is a lot more interesting of a character than Percy is, in my opinion. And also she's younger, so there's no like random awkward like love interest even though he's 12, like blah blah blah. Like she's like 9 or 10, I think, and she is like a pathological liar, and it's really interesting. I'm enjoying hearing about all the different like Indian mythology. Currently obsessed with watching documentaries on European royals because it's more relaxing than reading after studying. I totally understand that. I haven't watched a documentary in such a long time. But man, I used to really like watching those. I should remedy that. Anyway, that's really awesome. You're so funny, Miriam. Okay. So I'm currently reading that. And I recommend this book so far. I mean, I still have a couple hours left, but it's really interesting and it's good. Okay, let's see what else. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. Suitors and Sabotage. I knew what I was talking about. So I have this on my to-read shelf already. Apparently. Well, we can mark that off because I DNF'd it. It was so boring. And the characters were so annoying. And just like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm not an animal person, so maybe my patience was worn very thin more quickly than other people who actually like animals are. But she had this annoying dog. And I was listening to it on audio, and I swear she was screaming about her dog like every 2 seconds. Jasper, Jasper! And I was just like, shut up. I hate your freaking dog. I hope it dies. It's just, I don't know. And I'm like, if you're that concerned about your dog, maybe put it on a leash. Or keep a closer eye on it than letting it wander around in ruins of a castle that might fall over on it at any second. Like, maybe just use some common sense and don't let your dog wander around if you think it's too dangerous. So I DNF'd it because it was obnoxious. Hello. Is it Ranjit? Is that how you pronounce that? Hi. What's exquisite? Anyway, I didn't like it. I just couldn't. I couldn't. I really tried, and it was really annoying. Oh geez. Let me make sure my fridge is shut because it's screaming. Yeah, it looks like it's shut to me. If you hear that squealing noise, that is my refrigerator. It yells when it's not happy, so it yells like all the time. Oh my gosh, Suitors and Sabotage. I was like, please, no. Okay. Confidence. Code. Okay, so this one I can't believe this only has 22 ratings. This has been getting quite a bit of hype, I thought. Anyway, the confidence code for girls. Taking risks, messing up, and becoming your amazingly imperfect, totally powerful self. by Katty Kay and Claire Shipman. And this book was really cute. I wanted to read it. It yells when it's not happy. Miriam's current mood. I liked this book. I mean, obviously I'm not the target demographic for this book. I think the target demographic is 12 to 16-year-olds maybe. But it was good, and I think my biggest problem with it is that I don't think audio is the correct way to experience this book. I really don't think it's suited for audio at all. So listening to it was a little bit confusing for that reason. Also, my audiobook from the library like randomly skipped around, made me skip about half the book, and then I had to go back and listen to it. So I also listened to the book out of order because my Libby app was like being really dumb for some reason. So I don't think the way I experienced was it the best, but I think the content was good and it's important, and I think a lot of this stuff for people who are older, like my age, a lot of this stuff is like common sense. But for teens or preteens, which this is aimed for, I think this is an important book for any girl over the age of like 9 to read, or even the age of 8. Like, it's good stuff, and it has some good stuff in it. So I really enjoyed this one, and I'd recommend, especially if you have some slightly younger people in your life that you can give this to. I think it can definitely help. And I believe I finished this one on when we were flying back. So I think I finished this on the 13th. And I think I started it the day we went out there, which was the 7th. The 8th? The 8th. So, I think that's, I like listened to it in no, I definitely started it before the 8th. I think I must have started it the 7th. I did. Okay. Good and important, just maybe, I knew it wasn't for me when I went into it. But it wasn't that made me not love it as much. It's the fact that I don't think it's suited to audio. And I think an audiobook really did an injustice to it. And I liked almost everything it said. There were a few parts that I really didn't agree with, but for the most part, I feel like you can get more good out of it than bad. Let's see. I re-listened to, the thing that kind of started me reading again was that Christopher had put, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, he put on hold like 2-3 months ago. I already listened to this in December and loved it. And Christopher put it on hold, and it came off of hold, and he wasn't listening to it, and I was like, I want to listen to it again because I saw it. So I did, and I loved it. Again, it's so good. Oh my word. If you haven't read this and you have any inclination to it all, I definitely say yes. It's a retelling of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, Sherlock Holmes, Rappaccini's daughter, and the Island of Dr. Moreau. It's wonderful. And if you haven't read it yet, what are you doing? If you like fantasy, read it, please. It's so good. I don't know. The very beginning of May, I would say, is when I got to this. Like the very beginning of May. Maybe the end of April. So let's just stick it at that. It's so good. And it makes me so happy to read it as well. Like, I definitely think it's a book as well that can be a bit confusing on audio. But worth it. And if you like physically reading books, read it, please. Just, it's so good. And look at how beautiful the cover is. such a pretty cover. And what's even more exciting is the sequel comes out July 10th. I have it pre-ordered on Audible. The second I get it, I'm going to devour it. I'm so excited. Kat is on the front. I'm living for this book. I cannot wait for it to come out. I haven't read this yet because I don't want to like know anything about it until I read it, but so good, so excited. And wow, it has a pretty low rating for not even having come out yet. But do you see how long it is? 720 pages. Yes, it's almost twice as long as the first book. I'm so excited. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else on here. That I got to, or didn't get to, or whatever, if I DNF'd something or not. But I don't think so. Hello Stranger? Did I ever mark Hello Stranger? I have to change devices. What are you going to eat? That's my question. Hello Stranger. How did I feel about Hello Stranger? Meh. I think that's how I feel about it. I don't know, this whole series, like, I had such high expectations, but honestly, it's not that good. It's really not that good. I liked book 1. I don't think I would like it nearly as much anymore. I hated book 2. I did really like book 3. 3 would have almost been a 4-star rating for me if the ending didn't suck. And book 4, it's like about a female doctor. I thought it was going to be really good. And it was lackluster. It just wasn't that great. And I was just disappointed, let's just say. So I think I must have read this, I don't know, maybe even end of February. I'm just going to stick it in March though. I mean in April, because I really don't remember when I read it at all. I did read it though. I don't remember if I liked it or not. That's how meh I was about it. So I'm just going to rate it 2 stars because if I can't remember if I liked it, probably not good. Let's see. Here's another one. Children of Blood and Bone. Children of Blood and Bone by is it Tomi or Tommy? Tommy Adeyemi? Is that how you say it? Oh, I really wanted to like this book and I really wanted to get into it. And it has a beautiful cover. Like, honestly, one of the best covers of the year. At least so far, but probably will be one of the best covers of the year. Really gorgeous. And the premise is cool. And everyone seems to love it. But I don't know. I don't even know if I should rate this. I just don't feel like I got far enough. And I don't really have the desire to ever try to pick it up again. So I do almost want to just like put it on my red shelf if I don't feel like I'm ever going to pick it up again. But I tried to read it and I didn't like it. And it made me really sad and I was like, dang it. I was so looking forward to this book. Why is it not my thing? I wish it was my thing and I just couldn't get into it. I didn't even get that far though. I maybe got like half an hour in. Tortellini, yum. I I don't know. Have any of you read this? What do you think? Is it worth trying to give a second shot to? I don't know if I should mark it, but I also like to mark all the books that I've tried to read and didn't finish. I don't like just deleting things off my Goodreads. But I think I might need to do that with this one. I'm not sure. Because I really did try to read it, and I really just didn't care. I just found the main character obnoxious, I think was one of my biggest things. That I just thought she was annoying and, like, very proud and very full of herself. And very just an annoying character to read about. And I don't know. I'll leave it for now. I'll come back to it. See what I think. It just didn't do it for me, y'all. Romancing the Scot. Book 1 in the Pennington family. This book was blah. It was just like very unbelievable and very just, I didn't care. I got like halfway through it and I was like, what did I just read? I have no feelings of like positivity towards this book, but not even very strong negative feelings. It's just, I'm sure it was fine. I think I tried to read this in March. Because I was like, oh, I checked it out from the library. I should really try to read it. And it was just so bleh. It's like, again, lackluster. And I'm just so sick of all these like books that just can't keep my attention. Like, I do think it's the author's responsibility to make the book engaging. And I feel like sometimes they try and they just fail. You just can't with hyped books. I know, and I usually don't end up loving hyped books, so I should probably stop trying to read them. But, like, besides the hype, I just thought it looked really interesting, and I was so sad I didn't like it. Another one that I tried to read that I DNF'd because I just didn't care. Camp Austin by Ted Scheinman. This is one that I don't think I'm even going to mark because I don't know if I got far enough. I just tried and it was boring. Man, what is with all these boring books? Maybe it was just my mood when I was reading them. They were all so boring. I don't know. I've been trying to read like new releases and stuff, but I didn't care. And I didn't really care for the... You had it on your wish list? I don't know, I just didn't care for it. And maybe because I just wasn't in a good mood and a good like mental place when I was trying to read it. But I was excited. And I don't know. I don't even think I'm going to touch it. Maybe I'll come back to it at some point, but I just... No. Another one... Lies Jane Austen Told Me was dumb. It was dumb, and I didn't like it. I think Amber read this, my sister. A cute, clean read about real love. Love between children and parents, between friends, and between men and women. Yeah, no, it wasn't good. I really didn't care for this book. It's basically this girl. I don't know. She thinks this guy's gonna propose to her. She doesn't even seem that into it. And then she thinks he's gonna propose to her. And then she ends up like going to his house or whatever. And he has like another girl there. And then his brother like comes and like drives her home. and blah blah blah, and she like told everyone at her work that she was gonna get proposed to that weekend, but then she doesn't even seem to really care about him and just wants to get married for like the sake of getting married and all this stuff. I just like, I had no empathy towards this character because she was so bland, boring, and just kind of dislikable. I just didn't like her. Yes, it is fiction. This one is fiction, and my sister checked it out from the library, so I was like, oh, I'll read it too. I'm so mature. What are you guys talking about? Just nope. I don't know. Usually my 1 stars are like, I hated it, and I didn't hate it. It was just not, it wasn't okay though. It wasn't okay. It was just like not okay. So I'm just gonna stick it as a 1 star. I just really didn't like it. I mean, and I've read other books from this. It's like from the proper romance line, aka like Christian clean romance. Not necessarily Christian, but usually by Christian authors, but clean romances. Not that you have to be Christian to want a clean romance, but this proper romance line. I've read a few other books from this line, and I've liked them. I liked Eden Brook. I've heard really good things about Blackmore, and I'm going to read that. And I liked Beauty and the Clockwork Beast, and I'm actually really excited to read the sequel, which comes out in July. It's a Sleeping Beauty retelling, Kiss of the Spindle, and I'm really excited to read that. So it's not this line, it's just that book was not very good. The Orphan X series. I haven't read the Orphan X series. I mean, not to judge a book on its cover, but to judge a book on its taglines, I personally don't think I'll like it. Thrillers and things that are too mystery-y give me a lot of anxiety. And if a lot of people say that it's a thriller, then I'm pretty sure I won't like it, because reading thrillers makes my heart go like this. Makes it sound like a rabbit's. Is it good? Is that why you're bringing it up? I mean, I'm willing to almost try anything, so hey, maybe I'll like it. So if you're saying I should read it, I'll add it to my list. Tell me it's really good, though. And if it's not just a question. Okay. Let's see. Now we have some that I tried to read, but I am going to try again, like A Duke in the Night by Kelly Bowen. I guess I might as well bring up the cover for you. Oh my gosh. I just tried to spell night with a K. No. A Duke in the Night by Kelly Bowen. You just heard me talking about how much I really do like Kelly Bowen. Except for this book. I just didn't care for the first like 10 minutes, which is what I tried. So I set it down, and I'm going to try to come back to it later, except for Joanna, who I really trust her opinions. She's a friend of mine. Didn't like it. We've read all of Kelly Bowen's books together for the most part. Like, all the ones that I've read with her as a buddy read. And if she didn't like it, and if Ursula only gave it 3 stars, and Laura Day only gave it 2 stars, and I read it with all, they were all reading it, and I was supposed to read it with them, and I tried, and I couldn't get into it, and none of them liked it, I don't know if I'll like this book. And that's my big thing with this book. And I'm really sad because I like Kelly Bowen. What's going on with this book that 3 of my friends that didn't like it? But I'm not going to mark it. I'm going to try to come back to it, check it out from the library again. My fridge is yelling again. Next Year in Havana. Oh, I had this on my TBR twice. Well, let's delete this one. Next Year in Havana. Oh boy, this book. I don't like it. I don't know. It's beautiful. This cover is a gorgeous cover. Maybe that's my thing. Maybe I should just read books for the ugly covers from now on so I won't have any expectations. Beautiful cover. So pretty. And the plot, the storyline is really interesting. It's basically this lady. It's set in dual narrative. You didn't think you'd like it either when you first picked it up, but it's really good. You don't like thrillers either. Okay. I'll add it to my TBR. It might take me like 8 years to get to it, but it's on there. And I mean, I'll try anything. I just really, from experience, like thrillers, just the anxiety. Okay, so Next Year in Havana. It's set in dual narrative between someone who, like, lived in Cuba before the revolution, like right when the revolution's about to happen, and then it's her granddaughter, like, is that 50 years later? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's about 50 or 60 years later, actually. After the revolution's over and people are starting to be able to go there again and all this stuff, and she ends up going and taking her grandma's ashes with her, like smuggling them in so that she can like scatter them, but she doesn't know where to scatter them. And she ends up going and staying with her grandma's best friend before her grandma moved away, but her grandma was never able to come back to Cuba, but she lived in Havana. And so this girl is going out, and it's switching back and forth between right before the revolution and then this other girl, like, kind of like, I want to say dealing with her grief, but she doesn't seem to be like that grief struck. Instead, the whole time she's just like thinking about like how hot like the grandson of like that one lady is, and how she thinks he's really attractive and all this stuff. And then he like, it's like hitting on her, and she's like excited, but then she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, you know, do anything because I've come here to like pay respects to my grandma, but then, you know what, maybe, but then, oh, whoops, finds out that he's actually married. So was he actually hitting on me? Because that means he'd be like cheating on his wife, and that's not cool. And then she like talks to him, and he's like, what? She told you that we're still married? No, that lady's not my wife anymore. We got divorced. And she's like, oh, okay, oh good. Now I can have a new, now I can have sex with you. So that's good. And blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, I don't know. I feel like this is a book. Sought. Did I say sought instead of hot or something? I'm sorry. Sought, a new word. It's definitely a book that, in my opinion, would have been a lot better if it wasn't a romance. I think the plot was so interesting on its own that it would have been so much better if there was no romance, that was really just like focusing on like learning about our grandma's life and like uncovering the person that she used to be and all the stuff. And then at the same time, there's on the other dual, like the other part of the perspective is like her grandma, set in 1958 is what it says, in Havana, and her not knowing like where she stands on the revolution, and her parents are benefiting from how the government is currently, but she's not sure how she feels about like them being involved with the sugar business, because that's really like dragging the country down and blah 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 and all the stuff. And that part itself would be really interesting, except for there's this guy and he's like really attractive and blah blah blah, and she keeps sneaking out of the house to meet him, and he's actually one of Oh gosh. What's his name? Now I'm blanking on it and I feel embarrassed. Oh gosh, the guy who took over. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. Who ran the revolution. Oh gosh. Anyway. He's actually like one of his like highest like henchmen and up in the ranks and blah blah blah. Just doesn't know what to do, and I don't know. I got like over halfway through the book and I just had like this much patience by the end. I was just like, this would be such an interesting book if it wasn't a romance. But the fact that it's a romance and this is like all it seems to really be focusing on and not like the interesting story, I just, oh my word. I really, really, it's not even that I disliked it as much as I was just so disappointed. Oh, so disappointed. It could have been so good, and it was just not. It was not good. So I'm gonna give it 2 stars. I really wanted to read it, but I didn't like it. Oh dang it. And everyone else seemed to love it. I just had like 0 patience. Jess really liked it. Sophia really liked it. Those are my only friends that have read it. And I have other friends who have marked it as to read, and a lot of people, I really wanted to like this book, and it's such a pretty cover and such an interesting plot and all this stuff. Execution, not good in my opinion. Chanel Clayton is the author on that. Hi Diana, it's good to see you again too. I'm glad to be back. And in saying that, I need to go to the bathroom again. I've been drinking so much water. I need more water because I drank it all again. So I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Alright, I'm back. Hello. Anyway, Diana, how have you been doing? Read any awesome books recently? I would know that if I'd actually been on Goodreads in the past few months, but I haven't, so. Yeah, okay. I can't believe there's 15 people here. That's crazy. I'm just trying to see if there's any other books that I've had checked out from the library. Behind the scenes. Did I ever put that on there? I feel like I did mark this one. Apparently not. Okay. Let's try that up here. Behind the Scenes by Jen Toronto. Okay, well, it has a 4-star rating for some reason. This is one of the least subtle books I've ever read, ever. It was literally the opening scene of this book, which is as far as I got. I got barely past scene 1, and I was just like dropped it like a hot rock. The whole point of the opening scene was to drill into your head how special and unique and amazing and thoughtful and headstrong and socially aware and socially conscious our main female character is. That was the whole point of the opening scene, was to drill that all in. But not in maybe the normal way of, you know, showing you it happening. Showing her going to a shop that's less popular to help get, like, to help people who don't have as good of, like, business be able to, like, get better business or anything like that. She didn't do it like that. No, she did it by a scene with her mother telling her how she's, like, so improper and how her clothes aren't fashionable enough and blah blah blah, and her being, well, mother, I think the other things are more important and blah blah blah. And it was just, like, so, like, hammered in that this is her and this is how she is and all this stuff. I just, oh my gosh, I wanted to bash my head in. I was like, please, like, have you ever heard of showing not telling? Because you're just telling me how amazing she is, and I don't believe you. I don't believe that she's amazing, because you're just telling me. If you showed me that she was amazing, then I'd form my own opinion of how I thought of her and how I felt about her. And if I like her, then I'll like her. But by you telling me how amazing she is, I instantly don't like her, because I'm just annoyed at the author. And so I put it down. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever read in my whole life, but it wasn't good writing. And it wasn't good storytelling. And it could have been so much better. I don't know. 2 stars, I guess. Disappointing, let's say. And I think I tried to get to that at the very end of February. Because that's when my loan expired. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Okay, I think that's everything. From my library, at least. Did I mark the Hazelwood? That's the question. Oh, the Hazelwood, and there's another one. Oh, why am I not seeing it? It's a short story collection, you guys. Don't let me forget about it, okay? Hazelwood, I did not mark. Okay, so the Hazelwood basically had a lot of my boxes that it ticked off from the premise. Oh, but I didn't like it. I mostly just really hated Alice. I was trying to tell Christopher why I hated this book, and I said, so the main character Alice, and he's like, oh, of course she's named Alice, and I'm like, good point, husband. So the main character Alice is so obnoxious and rude and self-centered and everything. I couldn't. I think I got, I don't know, maybe a third of the way into this book. See, Melanie hated it too. So maybe I should just trust Melanie's opinions, except for she did like Children of Blood and Bone. So maybe I can't trust all of her opinions. Or maybe I should trust it and try to go back. But I don't know. See, everyone hated this book though. So it may be hyped, but everyone hated it for the most part. I don't know. It ticked all my boxes, and I didn't even pick it up because of the hype. I picked it up because the premise sounded really interesting, but oh, it wasn't good. I hated it. So bad. And I think I got to that. I tried to read that one in March. See, I said I read nothing in March. I really didn't, because I just DNF'd everything in March that I tried to pick up. I just hated. Whoops. Okay. A short story collection. What was that short story collection called? That is the problem. Ooh, I thought I just saw another book that I never put on there. Okay, I also read Text Me When You Get Home. I've read a lot more things in the past few months than I realized. Okay, let's see. You don't think you've heard good things about it? Yeah, see, nobody liked it. It just was hyped for some reason, even though I didn't hear any positive things about it, really. I really enjoyed Text Me When You Get Home. It's a nonfiction book, and just like I said, it talks about the evolution of triumph of modern female friendship. And I think that's really cool, because it's definitely not something that it is. This is how, at least, I saw a lot of things, is that you have your female friends until you get married or get a boyfriend, and then you don't anymore. And yeah. And so this talks about, like, kind of where that stemmed from, and where, like, the negativity between females and females competing with each other and not getting along came from, and how in modern society we've started to get past that and to build good relationships and stuff. And it was really interesting. Honestly, the beginning bit of the book where she was talking about, like, the history of it really pissed me off, because it's so frustrating. And she was, like, quoting, like, I don't know, I don't want to say a specific name because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to say the wrong person and, like, make you dislike certain, but let's just say Greek philosophers, like, quoting Greek philosophers about how they're, like, women are, like, the worst thing ever and stuff like that. And it's just like, women are, like, basically saying that women can't have female relationships with each other because they're, like, too evil and, like, stuff like that, and they have, like, no soul, essentially, and, like, things like that. And it's just like, oh, it pissed me off. It wasn't the author saying that. The author is quoting other people who are, like, scumbags in the history and stuff. But anyway, it's really cool. It was cool seeing, like, how, like, women have, like, conquered this, though, and are able to build, like, meaningful relationships and stuff with each other. It was really good. I liked almost everything about it. Something I didn't like, one thing I didn't like, let's just say she said, I mean, I don't really like Lena Dunham, and some things Lena Dunham has said and talked about in the past, and she like quoted Lena Dunham and some like positive things and stuff, and I didn't love that, of using Lena Dunham as a positive role model for women to look at, because some things that she has done I don't think follows that. And that's like the main thing I didn't like about this book, but I loved everything else about it. I think it's a 4-star book. I really liked it. And let's see. And I think I got to that one at the very beginning of March, before I really started not feeling great. It says I returned it on the 11th, so let's just say I read it on the 11th. Oh, I didn't want to add a second right day. Okay, there we go. Save. But it was really good and very interesting, and I would recommend it. Spindlefire. Spindlefire by Alexa Hillier. One of the least imaginative books / retellings I have ever read. I really didn't like this. I really tried to get into it. It's just like, it's so derivative, and I just wish so. HarperCollins and Random House are not connected, right? Let's just say that that's true, right? HarperCollins and Random House. Am I crazy in this? They have nothing to do with each other, right? Or are they? Okay, so they don't have anything to do with each other. Okay, 2 of the big 5. That's what I was saying. Okay, so Random House is Disney, right? Disney Random House. So, if this book is not by Disney, if it's by HarperCollins and not by Disney Random House, why is it so derivative of Sleeping Beauty by Disney? And that's the thing that really pisses me off with retellings. And I had a conversation with Kara from Wild Book Garden about this, and she made a really good point of that, like, a lot of people are saying that they're getting sick of retellings, and that, like, breaks her heart, because retellings can be so good. Thank you, everyone, for, or not everyone, thank you for Indie Insomniac for clearing that up. Yes. 2 different ones, but 2 of the big 5. Is that people get sick of retellings, but she thinks that the reason that they're getting sick of retellings, and that a lot of people don't want to read them anymore, is because they keep on just reading really bad ones, and like really ones that are super derivative of other ones, so they don't stand on their own. And that's how I felt about this one. I was just like, please just make it not based off of that.